My name's Lachlan McArdle and I'm a director at Lande Architects, and this is my own house, South Yarra house. South Yarra is an inner city suburb of Melbourne. This house in the Medley precinct was built in the 1890s, and council have classified this as a heritage precinct, and within that report they've made reference to the ad hoc nature of 19th century town planning. There's some really interesting pockets in the area, and the wall down the middle of the street has meant that 6 houses in the precinct don't actually have a street frontage. They've quite nicely let that overgrow into what has been described as a country hamlet. And walking around the area, you get a really nice appreciation for the gardens and the vegetation which has sprung up in its place.
Lande's design philosophy is about quiet architecture. We don't want the house necessarily to be the feature itself. We like to think that our design ideas are quite minimal, just making sure that every aspect of the house works as neatly as possible, from internal drawers to maximise storage, to the screens that slide back in the bedroom upstairs, which borrows light from the downstairs double void living space.
The colour palette and materials used in the house are quite muted, and that was deliberate. The muted green of the kitchen, that was sort of reading back to that unexpected discovery of green spaces within the precinct. And we really, through planning of courtyards and roof gardens, really tried to instill that into the experience of the house.
We've really managed to get some natural light deep into the house. Being a single-fronted Victorian, it's really important that we utilise every square metre of the block. Getting to know Emma and Lachlan, it quickly became apparent that they're both very good cooks and love entertaining. The first ideas that sort of came to light when Lockie and I were looking at the project was orientating the kitchen to the rear of the block. When we flipped the kitchen to the side boundary wall, we managed to sort of unlock this downstairs area and create a fantastic follow-through and direct line through the house from front to back, and ensure that if either Lachlan or Emma were in the kitchen cooking, that they could always be a part of the conversation.
The kitchen was definitely one of the harder places to make sure that we got right. Having lived in multiple rentals before building our own house, the kitchen appliances was something that we really wanted to focus on. Fisher & Paykel was selected pretty early on through our collaboration in previous projects. I knew that it was the appliances that I wanted to use. Part of specifying the integrated fridge from Fisher & Paykel was to ensure that the back part of the kitchen, the cabinetry, appears as almost like a structural pod holding up the first floor. That seamless integration allows that unit to be perceived as one single element. We've also specified the induction cooktop with a almost 3.5 metre island bench as the only working surface in the kitchen. Its minimal features don't really scream for attention, and it settles into the kitchen space. The same can be said for the Black Series oven. We found the 76cm to really be the sweet spot. We can have 2 roasting trays side by side. The touchscreen helps minimise the clutter often found in a kitchen. And we specified the twin dish drawers. Again, this helped to declutter the kitchen.
We love specifying Fisher & Paykel for our projects. We think not only are they quite minimal and sleek within their design, but they're also very user-friendly, which to many of our clients is really important. They excel in many of their products, not just one or two. They've really listened to designers and what we're after, how we can easily integrate minimal products within our designs.
The flow from one to the other and across the spaces works extremely well, and you never feel like you've left one area to go to the other. The narrative and the history of the house can often inform a contemporary response. One period feature of the house was the arched chimneyways and the arches in the original hallway. We've taken them as subtle design cues throughout the house, including the end of the island bench, on the top of the stairs, and even the skylight above the bath. The skylight above the bath is another example of how we've worked really hard to get light into the house.
My favourite part of the house would be the living space. The rear of the house with the double-storey void manages to bring a lot of light into the dwelling.
With the sliding bifold gates, we find that we can throw them open and almost reclaim part of that laneway as our perceived space. So often when entertaining at the back, they'll be open. That community integration is really nice. I really enjoy when people come through the house and are surprised at the amount of space that we've delivered on such a small footprint.
It allowed both of us to get an understanding of our design philosophies and the way that we both approach design, which really helped us jump into what is now Lande Architects.
Architecture should be the backdrop to life, and we've really found that this house has done that very well.